So I do a lot of jobs, a lot of mulch jobs over the course of the year, and I really don't make any videos on it. I'm going to start changing that beginning next year. We do so much of them, but I wanted to share today a weed that I deal with, the worst weed in my opinion in all the mulch beds that I work in here in central Indiana, and that is thistle. And it could be any type of thistle, but we're going to switch this over and show right now. Let me give you an example of what I'm dealing with. This is thistle, and basically, essentially, where the top of that tape measure is about where that weed was coming out of the ground. This is the root system of that, or the root of that particular thistle. I don't think that we got it all out either. It's possible we did on this one, but as you can see from the tape measure, it's about 20 inches deep. And this is one of the worst weeds that I come into contact with when I'm doing mulch. And the problem is people pull it and they only get a piece of the root out, and so it comes back worse. The reality is, when it comes to thistle, the long-term best strategy to wiping it out is hitting it with an herbicide and leaving it alone for 2 weeks or whatever. What I have found over the years, the best herbicide used to wipe it out permanently has been an herbicide called Lawncare. You can use you could use non-selective herbicides. There are some organic options out there, but I found none of it works because it typically burns down the weed too quickly. I haven't had a lot of success even with Roundup. I don't even like to use Roundup, but the reality is, when it comes to thistle, I take a utilitarian approach, and that is, I'm okay with doing a little bit bad if it's going to result in the ultimate good. And the issue with thistle specifically is that thistle will take over landscaping and drown everything else out, and they don't get into the grass and everything. So it's one particular weed that I don't mind wiping it out. And I know there are going to be some of my organic friends out there that say that it has some nutritional value. That's fine. You can say whatever you want, and that might be true, and I can't remember the last I looked up on it. But the truth of the matter is, it is the biggest pest in the world when it comes to mulch beds. And if it gets into your lawn, it could be even a nightmare there too. So when you pull it, what we want to do is we want to pull it when we see it, especially when we clean a mulch bed initially. However, a more appropriate approach, if you're wanting long-term control on this, would be to hit it with an herbicide, leave it alone for a couple of weeks so it could absorb it, maybe even look at it then, possibly hitting it again before cleaning out the beds. Now, I'm not a big fan of using fabric in beds to control weeds, because I feel like it creates too much of a barrier for nutrients or water to get to the root system of the plants. The ornamentals that you have in your beds. But there are some cases where, if you're needing something quickly to be done and you don't have the time to wait, where you could put that up and it would be beneficial. It's going to be a problem for in the future for somebody else if they ever take that stuff out. And again, like I said, I want that mulch to break down. I'm not a big fan of big chunk mulch. I like the really fine mulch because it does have nutritional value. The bigger mulch has a tendency to lose its color, whether it's dyed or whatever, and then it just doesn't break down. So you're going to have to replace that more often. But that fabric just prevents that stuff from being broken down, whether it's large or small at all. And you don't get the nutritional value from the mulch. And so as a result, the plants don't thrive as much as they could. But anyway, thistle is just a nightmare. I don't like it. I will wipe it out however I can. And again, I like Lawncare, but it also depends on where it's located. It also depends on the surrounding plants, etc., how large the weed is, and what are the circumstances. If someone's trying to sell their home, they've got pictures coming in today, oftentimes they want us to just clean it out, plain and simple. Most people don't understand how to control thistle and why it's an issue, and so they don't prepare. They wait till the last second for whatever given reason, because they've got life going on. So thistle, as you can see, that thing is big. We're going to look at it one more time. It's also prickly. It can hurt your fingers a little bit. It's painful when you pull it. That's crazy, isn't it?